Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're gonna look at set values and response actions in integration procedures. So let's jump into that. Okay, so set values in integration procedure literally sets value in the integration procedures data JSON. It can use merge fields formulas to do that. This action has really many use cases in an integration procedure. We'll see all of the use cases, how we can use this in an integration procedure in this video. And what a response action is. A response action actually ends the integration procedure. It's like a return statement in traditional programming. It can also actually add data to the JSON of the integration procedure. Also, a response action can also be used for trimming the response to the desired structure that we need. We'll look at that as well in our example. Okay, the example we're going to work with today is this is what we're going to get as input to the integration procedure: a product name and a price. And we're going to try getting this output, a description for this product basically. And we'll see how we can use set values and response actions to do this. There are many ways we'll see how we can achieve the same result. By doing that, we just see all the features that we can use from set values and response actions. So let's jump into the practical. Let's create a new integration procedure. We get product description type. That's example. Subject is get product description. Let's save that. That's gonna be our integration procedure here. To start with, we'll just pick up the input that we need. Let's add the input that we need here. For input, we'll get the product name and the price. And let's get started. We'll drop a set value action here. Let's get a set value, set product description. So let's look at what the set value action looks like here, right? So here we can add, this is like the element name of the set value. So I just use this naming convention, just makes it easier for us to see. So SV stands for set value and what the set value is meant for, product description. Here we can add the element name. Here we can add different variables. We have multiple variables that we can add. And if you see, this is going to be the key of the variable and this is where we're going to add the value. So let's just say product name with the space, and that what we can use here is hard-coded iPhone 16. So I can just add that here, and then when we just run it, we can see it here. Our set value returns product name and iPhone 16. This is one use case of set value, just setting a variables, hard-code variables here. Also, what we can do is you can use merge fields, right? The merge fields syntax to use merge field is percentage. So we are passing product name. And this now we'll see iPhone 16, it's coming from here. So like for example, we just make it 15 here, and you see the change here from iPhone 15 to iPhone 16 to iPhone 15, right? So this is another use case where we can use percentages and use merge fields in set values. So if you see here, there's an FX button. What the FX button stands for is a formula field. So you can actually write any formula that we want. Let's say we would say product name and we want to concatenate with this description, for example, and if you just run this here, it's gonna say iPhone 15 description, so stuff like that. And if you really want to see what all functions we have in our Omniscript and integration procedures, you can refer this document here, function reference, so you can use any of these formulas that are here. Okay, we'll look at all of these one by one. So let's actually start with our example. Now we have the product name, for example, that we're getting from here. What we want to achieve is a description like this, where iPhone 16 full price is what price we get, right? So let's try achieving that. So you go here and we want to call it full price description. So let's say we have a full price description, we want to add that. So we say percentage product name that's coming from our input and concatenate with full price. All right, so what we are doing here is we're just making this first half of the sentence here, right? We want to make this product name full price and then the price that's coming from him, product name full price, and then we can add the $sign as well here, and you can add a space right in front, the $sign, the price that's coming from the product name full price, and that shows full price description. So we'll click on it and see. So here we go, and you see what it did here is added backslashes, and it didn't use it took the plus as a string as well, if you notice. So what we can do though is just do this, and now when you open it as a function and then do that, you'll see an equals to sign that gets added. And now if you see, it does it like that. See, if you just type something without opening the formula field, it would just treat it like a string input. If we ever are using some functions or something, we want to make sure that we open this and then type it here. Okay, so that's like the first half of the description. And let's say we create another element which says monthly price description. Here we want to say, so what's the monthly price? So this is what we're trying to build. So it's $125 a month for 12 months, right? So how do we get that 125? You say whatever the price, I want to divide that by 12, so we get price per month, and then add a string, concatenate a string which says month for 12, and there we go. Now we have two of them here. So if you just quick see this, there we go. Our set value has monthly price description and full price description. What we want is just to concatenate those two and add an or in between. We could do that in a set value also, a third set value. Here you think like full description maybe, and then use this and this right here. Unfortunately, we cannot use the elements in the same set value action. Those are created here, like the variables that we create here, and we cannot use them within the same set value, so we wouldn't be able to do that right away here. So we can even, like, if you would have thought like, why can't I just do this in a similar same element here, like I just call it the full description and add these both here, concatenate. We can, just for example purposes, I'm doing it as two separate pieces here. So now let's say we do this and we want to add an or in between. We can use a response action here, like we saw. A response action is used for returning back returning back from the integration procedure to whoever called the integration procedure. So let's say a response action, send product descriptions. Here we don't need to add any headers. We'll look at this whole thing in right after this example, but here we can just use the additional and just only return the additional output. Don't return anything else. So if you uncheck this, it's going to return everything, like basically all of this data. If you see the full data JSON, this we don't want that. We just want to return what we return from here. So it's a product description. Now we want to concatenate these two, right? So how do we access these two here? So we just use the name the element, and if you notice, even this is a function field, so you can even use the functions here. So that's what we're gonna do. Really useful. Just add percentages. Yeah, and what we want is actually, if you see, we want full product description and we want the full price description. Gonna go here, add a colon, add full price description. So that's how we get the full price description, and then concatenate that with the or. I'm just going to replace this full price description with the monthly price description. List out the spaces. That's in space. And now let's see what we get back. There we go. We've got what we wanted. But now let's see how else can we do the same thing. Now that we saw one way of doing it was just taking that and then putting it right here again with an or, and then that will give me the full description. That is one way of doing it, and then using it right here. Another way to do this would be using these parts, like creating a whole new. So what else can we use the set value for, right? So another very useful thing that we can use set values for is for creating something complex. Let's say we want to create an array. So what we could just do here is like a hard-coded array. So we just say products, and then I can just create a list of products, iPhone 15, iPhone 16, and so on and so forth. And then if you wanted to maybe get an output of that, it's say products, and then just use that, and there we go. You just get the list back. And now let's say, for example, I just wanted to pick the first element of this list. How I can do that is using a pipe operator here on the first and number one. But it's a little different from traditional programming that we look at. Everyone is coming from a programming background. But no, products, the list, and it starts from index 1, not like the traditional programming where we use the 0 as the first element, first index of a list. Here it starts with 1 instead of 0. So now if you see, just picks up the first element of that. So yeah, that's another use case of a set value where we could just use this editor's JSON feature and add a complicated or like a bit complex JSON or a list that we want to create here. We can even use merge feeds inside this. So if you have to create a little complex JSON somewhere, we could use this set values for that as well. And also, as we saw, we have formula feeds, so we could just use that for some simple calculations, maybe getting percentages or doing some simple calculations like we did here. We just wanted the monthly price. We could just do that here. We could even do that in a response action directly, all of this. But this is just for example purposes that we're using a set value and a response action just to see how everything works. So let's look at what this is: execution conditional formula. So what this is used for is the executing this action conditionally. This is gonna be in every integration procedure action that we look at. So if you want to execute this action conditionally, like not every time on some condition, we could just use this. So let's say in our case we use it for price is greater than 0, only then do this set value, or else don't. So it's gonna run just like that. Let's now say make the price 0. There we go. The concatenation did not work because it did not execute the set value because the price was not greater than 0. But this is also really useful for executing actions conditionally. We're gonna see this in every integration procedure actions, but yeah, now that I saw it here, I just wanted to give you an example how it really works. And same here, this is something that if this condition doesn't match, like whatever condition we add here, it will just fail directly. Instead of not executing, it will just fail. This is also useful, but it's again, you're gonna see this in every integration procedure action. Moving on, let's see how response transformation works, right? So let's say, for example, I do full price, just do price description, not even full, just price description here, and we concatenate it with the OR part. We don't need this, we don't need this. So now we have price description fully here. Now let's say if I want to expose this set value as a single variable, what I can do here is like if I just use this price description as the path, so it's like what path do I want to know. So here what we add is the path of the set value action. So this is the path, price description, inside the price description, and it will be exposed as full description. So if I ever want to use this somewhere, I would just use full description, and for example right here I would just say instead of all of this, I would use full description like this. And we don't need this too. There we go. So what happened here is this whole set value action would be exposed as this variable full description, but only the path that we add here would be exposed. So yeah, this is how the response path and response node works. Similarly, in a response action, we have something very similar here. So let's say we have additional here. Instead of doing this whole additional piece, what we could just say is use this as the path, full description, and the node would be product description. But if you notice, I added all of this in the send JSON path instead of response JSON path like I did here. We don't have a send JSON path here, but only in the response action we have a send JSON path and a response JSON path. And the reason for that is what if we put inside the send JSON path or send JSON node is going to be returned back from the response action. So the fact that we want to return a product description node with full description's value, we're going to use that there and say here we go. So it did the product description and it sends back everything back to us. The reason it's showing both, I think that don't delete this now for description. So it's coming from here. And again, we have the same execution formula here also. Okay, let's rewind of whatever we saw in this video. So we saw a set value action where we have elements that we can add, variables that we can have multiple variables. We can use formulas for the values for the variables. So it can be used for reformatting, renaming what's coming in the input, maybe doing a simple calculation right here and then putting it inside some variable that we need, or even adding some complex JSON structure in the set value action here that we can reuse further in the integration procedure. Or we can even use this response JSON path for, let's say, something like a full description. If you need this variable exposed, which is going to be overwritten or used somewhere else, we could just use that. So instead of taking the path from set value product description colon product description, it would just be directly accessible through full description. This is useful when we have just one element inside. I want to expose it as a particular element, that particular value. If I want to expose it as particular variable, that would be probably used down somewhere in the integration procedure. We'd see that how we can use this in our future examples, in future videos that we make. But yeah, I just wanted to show you that this feature exists in the set value. Yeah, moving on. In the response action we saw, we can send additional outputs here, and if you just click this, it's only going to send the additional output and none of this. And if you uncheck this, you could send additional output plus whatever we send from here. And if you want to return the full data JSON of the whole integration procedure, you could check this checkbox as well. So yeah, that was it for set values and response action. I hope you guys learned something from this video, and do like and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next one.